there? Okay, you're there. Here's the fucking deal. I don't know if I'm late to the party, but all of you need to read this book so that I'm not alone in my suffering. That's the video. Like and subscribe. Hi, my name is Logan and welcome to the BiBook Boy. I'm a chaotic bisexual. I read books. This is going up a day late because I got emotionally caught up in a longer book than I planned to read this week, and I didn't start reading until Thursday, and I usually film and edit on Thursday, so. The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab. This fucking book is so good. I'm gonna keep this review like spoiler-free-ish, as spoiler-free as possible with this, just because this book was just released in 2020. Not everybody's read it yet, although apparently a lot of people have and I just missed out on it. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but I also want to talk about it because it gets the grandma seal of approval of, oh my god, it was so good. So, what is it about? Let me tell you. So we follow Addie Larue, if you couldn't tell. Addie Larue is a 23-year-old woman who was born in the, 1690 something, but 1700s, you know, all that fun stuff. And she turns 23, she's gonna be married off, and she's like, yo, I haven't done anything with my life. I don't want to go marry a boring man and do nothing with my life. What the fuck do I want to do? So she makes a deal with an old god, that she can have eternal life. She can live as long as she wants and stay 23 forever, but she cannot leave her mark on the world. She just has to observe life. In theory, great. We can observe, we can watch life evolve, we can be here as long as we want. Great. In practice, that means that she cannot write anything, alter the state of anything. She cannot break anything. She can steal, but she cannot keep possessions. She always loses them or they disappear. She also, most importantly, cannot be remembered by anyone. So she meets people, and as long as they are looking at her and hearing her voice, they remember who she is, but as soon as they look away from her, she disappears from their memory, and they have no idea that she met them, and they have to meet all over again, or they just forget that she exists, which is a lonely fucking life.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
So the story is half like all of the lives that she's led and all of the many lovers she's had. She is bisexual, so we get a lot of bi rep here. It's so good. And then the other half is in the present day. She goes into a bookstore and meets this dude, and he, for some reason, remembers her. And she's like, what the fuck is up? If I were to describe the vibe, it is like Age of Adeline and Time Traveler's Wife had a goth baby. Highlights of this book. Number one, the bi rep is fucking phenomenal. Not only do we have 300 years worth of Addie Larue being in love with and having extended love affairs, like heartbreaking love affairs with men and women. Love affairs for her means she meets one person and falls in love with them and spends a good few months having little meet cutes with them, like meeting them in public places at bars or restaurants and shit, and being having first impressions, falling in love with them, shit like that, going home with them and going to bed with them, and then waking up the next morning and this person who she wakes up next to does not know who she is, doesn't have clue one who she is, and she has to make up a thing of oh, you were probably too drunk last night. She leaves and then they forget that she exists again, and it's just a constant cycle of deja vu, except she knows that it's already happening. But back to the bi rep. That's the first thing. Henry, the guy who remembers her, who is also the other point of view that we get, so we get his point of view in his life as well. He is also bisexual, and in the book we see him in a relationship with a man at one point and a relationship with a woman at one point, like at multiple points. And it is just so rare, like so rare to have both happen at the same time in a book. Like usually with bi rep, we're like scraping of like, well, they said in this sentence that they're into both men and women, so that means that they are bisexual, which is great. Whereas here, we get it fucking represented on the page. Like this, hands down, some of the best representation I've ever seen. They also address biphobia in that Henry's ex-lover Robbie is a gay man who is misogynist and does not believe that Henry is bisexual. Biphobia is real. Another highlight for this is the love of books in this. So firstly, you know, Addie and Henry meet in a bookstore. But there's this ongoing theme that an idea is stronger than a memory, and Addie can be an idea. Thusly, she can be a muse for an artist, and an artist can paint her likeness. It won't look exactly like her, but it will be there. She can be a muse for a songwriter, like a musician can write a song about her. It just won't have her name in it because she can't say her name. One way of like freedom is like that she really finds freedom through is books. She is an accomplished linguist by the time we get to 2015. She speaks, it's like 7-ish languages. That's a bunch because she's lived all over the fucking place, you know. She's been alive forever. But at the beginning of her story, she can't read, so she takes, you know, because she's a woman in the 1700s, she cannot read. So she takes time to learn how to read and learn how to just the wonderful escape that is through books and through ideas. And then she meets Henry at a bookstore, and it's really cute. And there's more there, like that's the surface of how books play into this, but books are like a huge part of this story. I just can't tell you because it'll spoil a lot. Also on that, the importance of names and defining oneself and how we define oneself, and that part of the curse of not being able to be remembered and leave a mark on the world. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes on my MacBook. Part of the curse of not being able to leave a mark on the world is she cannot physically say her name and she cannot write her name. So she can say any other name. When you ask her what her name is, she can say, she, you know, gives all of her lovers different names, but she can't tell people her name. Except Henry is the one person that she can say her name to. It's just, oh my God, that gets really deep too, and it's so beautifully done. It's a really great exploration of religion. What is defined as a good god, as a god versus a devil? What separates them? What is good and evil in general? And like, how does one, you know, how do you define that for yourself morally when you've been around forever? There's also wonderful exploration of the fact that there are religions much older than Christianity. It's just, you know, just exploring that there's a lot more than white Western religions, for sure. There's also this like really interesting exploration of loneliness, and both the power and the weakness that is in loneliness. The god that she makes a deal with at the beginning of the book is just referred to as the darkness. He can take any form, but he takes forms that are pleasurable for the people that he's making deals with, for their souls. So for her, he looks like the dream man that she like fell in love with as a child, like she like envisioned, which is really scary. But he stays, after they make a deal, he visits her every year on the anniversary of said deal. Eventually it like fizzles out and it's like every 30 years or like every 4 years or things like that. But he visits her on the anniversary that she sold her soul to him. And at first it's like he's just there to convince her to be like, do you want to give up yet? Give me your soul. Do you want to give up yet? I own you. You're nothing, you know? But once they get past that, they kind of develop this respect for each other and almost friendship, in that they're these two immortal beings that have watched the world change so much in 300 years and just watched everything evolve and watched how humanity can grow, and like they're the only two people that they know that have experienced all of this, and they get to kind of experience it together, and it's a really interesting relationship dynamic in that they don't like each other, but they prefer each other's company. Also, the darkness is fucking hot. At this point, it's just a given. If there is a villain figure with menacing power that is described to be at all attractable and at all interacts with the main character, I'm probably gonna have a thing for them. My type is men that say it's not a phase mom. I will end the non-spoiler portion to say that this book is 5 stars immediately. You need to pick this up. You need to read it. I cried so many times. I read this in one sitting. It is worth it, every minute of it. It will not go the way you expect it to. I did not expect this ending at all, and I loved it. And I need this to be made into a movie. I need it to be made into a movie. It just has to happen. So I'm waiting for that, Hollywood. But yeah, pick it up, 5 stars. If you don't want light spoilers, like and subscribe. Hop the fuck off. I'll see you next week. Love you so much. Thank you for watching. If you're here for spoilers, I'm not going to spoil everything, but there's one thing I want to talk about, and that is Henry, the other dude, or the dude that she's like, why can you see me? The reason that they can see each other is really interesting and a beautiful exploration of loneliness and the human condition in general. He also made a deal with the darkness. He has spent like most of his life not being enough for people. A wandering soul. He's kind of lost. He's like not sure what he wants to do. And he's the youngest, or middle, I don't know, not the oldest child of a family of 3, middle or youngest child of a family in New York, and he is like the black sheep of the family. Like, he's always constantly being told that he's not enough, and he needs to get his life together. He needs to get a good job, and he needs to do, go back to school, do all this, and he's constantly flunking. So when he's about to end it all, but he makes a bargain with the darkness to have a specific amount of time where he can be enough for people. The deal ends up being that everyone looks at him and sees, rather than seeing him, they see exactly what they want. So they think he's perfect, but it always devolves into like delusions of grandeur and people getting very clingy and him not feeling seen at all because no one's falling in love with him. They're falling in love with what they want him to be, his potential, and what they need from him. So it really speaks to, I think, humanity, and that we're all, in the end, we all just want to be enough for people. We all just want to be loved for who we are, and we want to be enough, and it's so hard to accept the fact that we are. But anyway, I'm not gonna cry yet. I'm not gonna cry. The reason that he can remember Addie is because she's lived so long that the only thing she wants is for someone to remember her. And thusly, because he becomes that, then that's the only thing that she wants from him. She's able to see him as he is, and she's able to see him for who he is and what he is as a person, and get to know him that way. Their love story is beautiful. Their connection is wonderful, and there's just something I do love about like a love story of like, we only have so much time, because Addie, since it's mostly told from Addie's perspective, she doesn't know how long it's going to be until he forgets her, because she's never had someone remember her like at all, but she's never had someone remember her for this long, so she's like, when is it gonna come falling down? When is it gonna come crashing down? I really enjoyed that a lot. And their love story is definitely a love letter to New York. It really showcases New York well. Yeah, anyway, there's a lot more I could talk about. I don't want to do a spoiler discussion right now just because it's such a new book and everyone needs to read this book, but go read this book. And if you want to talk about spoilers with this book, please DM me on Instagram. I need to cry about this book with people. So yeah, anyway, thank you, V.E. Schwab. And thank you for sticking around and helping out. If you made it to the end of this video, make sure to like and subscribe, comment below. We need more buy rep like this. That's all I'm gonna say. I need more books with this kind of buy rep because it's so good. Anyway, until next time, this has been the Buy Book Boy, and I'm saying bye.